Guys, we are back. The weddings are here. You already know the drill at this point. My best friend is on Love is Blind UK, and we're going to talk about it. Okay, first things first, before we get into it, a few bits of housekeeping. Number one, thank you so much for all the comments. I've loved seeing all your theories and everything like that. Keep them coming. Keep them kind. I want us to remember these are real people. If you watched the episodes and you didn't blink, you may have seen me there at the suit fittings, at the weddings. We're going to talk all about that. I'll give you a little bit of BTS here and there. But yeah, I'm really excited for the weddings. If you've seen them, you know what happens. But I'll wait till we get to it before we get into it. Also, I did say to you guys, for the weddings episodes, I'll dress up a bit. So I thought, in honor of me being at the weddings, and I would wear what I wore to Joseph and Francesca's wedding. So here it is in all its glory. Enough yapping from me, let's get into it. So we see Cuba and Ryan, and they're at their apartments. So Cuba expresses to Ryan, it's been hard because she has no clarity on what it is that he wants. And he lets her know it's been easier for you because you've been here in this experiment, able to just focus on just the relationship, whereas he's been in the real world and, you know, obviously his speaking engagements and dealing with the loss of his nan. So it's been more harder for him to navigate. And she says to him point blank, you have cold feet. Like, being unsure is different to needing time away to be with your family. And I couldn't agree more. And yeah, he's like, clearly the way I'm showing up isn't enough for you. And yeah, I agree, it's not enough because he's been doing the bare minimum, which again, like I've said in my previous reviews, like I feel so bad for Cuba. I feel like she got the raw deal with being paired up with Ryan. Comment below though your thoughts on Ryan and Cuba and their whole relationship. I'm curious. And then I felt so bad for her. You see her, she's been holding it together and she just breaks down in tears and she's like, let me know, like, give me something to fight for. Let me know that there is something to fight for here. And she says what I've been thinking, like, she's felt the whole relationship has been about him and she's had to be strong for him. And it's just always him. And I can only imagine how hard it is. Of course, in relationships, there's moments where you have to show up for your partner, be there for your partner, and it feels like it's all about them. But then vice versa, they take turns to be there for you, and you both take turns showing up for each other. And we've just seen Cuba doing that. We have not seen Ryan doing that. And yeah, he's like, in his body, there's a resistance, something to that extent. And Cuba's like, okay, what stops you from leaving? And he's like, I want to make sure it's the right choice, basically. There was no heart in what he said to her. And I was just like, yeah, this is done. And she's like, she doesn't think he can match her selflessness. And I agree. She's given like 90 of the religion and he's given 10. If that, like, bare minimum. So he goes on a walk, comes back and is basically like, yeah, I don't think we should continue. And it's so sad. I don't tend to like to use this term, but it does feel like he strung her along this whole experiment. And it's like, I feel like he knew early on he wasn't in this. Why did he put her through all this? And part of me, comment below your thoughts on this. This is a theory. I don't know this to be true or anything like that. I'm just like, because why else would he stay? Is it that he wanted to show his public speaking on this big platform of Netflix for as long as possible to get, you know, himself out there more? So he thought, if I stay right up until the weddings, then I don't know. Because it just doesn't make sense to me why he dragged her through all this, being so isolated and alone, because he's always... Anyway, he finally puts her out of her misery. But after this highly strung emotional conversation, she's upset. Their engagement has just been called off. They're sat there. And you know what this man goes and says? Do you want a mango? I was literally, when I watched it, I was like, what? I could not believe it. So it's the day of the wedding dress fittings and the suit fittings. And yeah, if you squinted really hard, you may have seen me there with Joseph at his suit fitting. It was a really fun day. Like, it was nice it wasn't shown, but we got to express our care towards each other and appreciation of the friendship. It was a really beautiful moment. One thing I did wonder, because there was a part where I did cry when we were like, I was expressing how happy I am for him, and like, you know, he was expressing his gratitude to me as a friend and throughout this whole journey and all of that. I start crying, makeup a mess, nobody said anything until later, but it doesn't look that bad, thankfully. Like I said, you have to squint to see me, so maybe that's for the best. They did me a solid there. But yeah, no, we see all the girls trying on their wedding dresses, all the guys trying on their suits. So we see the girls trying on their dresses. Kira and Sophie go for like, you know, simple, elegant. I do enjoy that style. I don't know if that's what I would go for, but I've got a long time before I need to worry about that. Faye tries on her dress and her mum is like, yeah, that dress is too plain. You deserve the world and more. Basically, that ain't it. And then we're back at the men's suit fittings. Well, the men's suit fittings and the wedding dress fittings, they mix between the two. And that's when they announce, obviously, Cuba and Ryan have left the experiment, and Jordan and Yasmin have left the experiment. Still hurts to say. But in this moment, guys, so I'm stood there and you see my face like just nodding like, yeah, okay. I had no idea who these people were, obviously, but I'm like, oh, it's a shame they've left the experiment. I didn't even remember the names they had left when they said it, because I was just like, who? I don't know, but yeah, I found that quite funny, because I had to stand there while we're filming it, like, what a shame. Don't know them. And it actually is a shame, as you know, very upset about Yasmin and Jordan, but we're not going to talk about that. So we move on to the stags and the hen. The main things I want to talk about, obviously Joseph can't make the stag because he injured his shoulder, but we see the boys give him a call. They go on those little jacuzzi boats. I've seen the barbecue boats. I hadn't seen the hot tub boats or whatever in Canary Wharf. The girls go to Magic Mike. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this feels like the most actual hen night vibe we've seen on Love is Blind. Like, it actually felt like these women were at their hen night. It was really fun to see them enjoying. Kira and Sophie were having a time, let me tell you. Like, that sort of energy. I too have been to Magic Mike. I remember I went, and Ayame, who I feel like has been on a vlog in here, but you guys probably, there's a high chance you know her, another content creator. Anyways, we were all invited. We went. She was so funny, and I was like, if I ever have a hen and come here, I need you there. And that was the energy, the same energy that I feel like Kira and Sophie had, like, there to just have a good time. Don't do too much now. But yeah, I also loved how the girls all had, like, they're wearing white dresses, but different styles of white dresses. Very cute. And then both the men and the women go on to like a club, and their friends are there, screaming at the fact that Kira, her friends, the experiment is so interesting to me because her friends have not met AJ yet, so they're here at her hen and seeing pictures of what he looks like on the phone, like, oh yeah, let's see him. That whole concept is mind-blowing to me. But yeah, and then we see Kira relaying to her friends again, like the argument she had with AJ, and I've seen certain takes about this online. And now, like I said, Kira is not perfect. Word to Portia.
Cordell is not perfect by far.
Anyway, not perfect by far. However, her taking accountability, I thought it was admirable, because we can't sit here and pretend like we're perfect. And when you're in a relationship, all sides to you come out, and sometimes some of the worst. I think the important thing is taking accountability, but then changing that behavior. Of course, if you're like, I was being selfish, I was being self-indulgent, and you keep doing it, and so you're aware of it and you're just going to keep doing it, that's an issue. But acknowledging it and bettering yourself from it, because I truly believe the right partner will love every side of you and work through the bad with you, as long as you're putting in the work to change. Like, they will love the whole of you. And like my partner, he loves all of me, the good, the bad, the ugly. I can show him all sides of me. Of course, I don't take the mick, right? But you grow in relationships, you learn, you do better. So I don't know, some of the takes, like I said, there's things that Kira is doing that I am not a fan of, not here for. But that, I don't know, but I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on that. Comment below and let me know. And that's pretty much the hen and stag. Obviously, Francesca goes home and sees Joseph. He's, bigging her up, saying she looks good in her outfit. And she's just letting him know how the stag went and everything. It is a shame not stag, sorry, she was not at the stag, the hen. It is a shame he didn't get to have a stag. I haven't spoken to him about how he feels about not getting to have one, actually. But also, guys, any questions, side note, you have for Joseph, comment them below, because we will at some point do a sit down video together on this channel. So some of your questions I may be able to ask to him. So yeah, let me know what you would want to know. The weddings are here. So then we see Taylor with his friends. And he's saying, he went for dinner or lunch with Sophie's dad and 3 brothers. And he's feeling a bit nervous because the dad was basically like, I don't really know you. He was being protective, which, again, I always understand when the parents in this experiment are like that. Because if you haven't been through it, you can't understand. We will never fully understand like they do. Then we see him with his sister. And this moment was so beautiful. She's written him a really nice letter. It's the most beautiful emotional letter, and crying my eyes out. I think he even stops partway reading it because the emotion, it gets overwhelming. And it reminded me, my sister got married recently, and I gave a speech, maid of honor speech at her wedding, and as you guys can tell, I cry easily. I get emotional easily. But in my head, I was like, this is the most important speech I'm ever going to give in my life. So I made it a point to really work hard to get through that speech without crying. But then I wrote her a separate letter with even more that, had I said that, I definitely would have cried my eyes out. So I really do like the thought of giving a letter to a loved one on the day of the wedding, be that before or after the ceremony. And also, heads up, have it typed up too, saved on your phone, in case they lose it on the day, which may have happened with my sister, but I had a backup. Okay, now back to Love is Blind. So then we see Sophie with her dad, and he's like, I feel like you've rushed this. How is it going to be when you're back in the real world? And guys, I'm getting nervous. I'm like, oh my God, did they have a smooth sailing journey the whole time, and then it's all just about to crumble here, a la Jed and Bada? I don't even... Guys, when I tell you I was so nervous watching this, I was like, please, please, please. My heart sank. I was like, we don't need a plot twist. And then we see Sophie's mum, and she's like, I do love Taylor, but I want it to be right. And I'm like, are the family gonna object? And then we see Sophie's dad outside with one of her brothers, and they're just like, this is all fake. I don't like reality TV. It's a pantomime. And it's easy to look at that and be like, yikes. But I could see this was all so overwhelming for them. And this is their emotions coming out. But yeah, I was very worried in this moment. But then yeah, cut to the wedding ceremony, and we see obviously Taylor at the front of the wedding, and then they put a picture for Taylor's mum, which I always think is so beautiful when they do something like that, so that they're still there in spirit. Very beautiful. But that was the end of episode 9. Cut to episode 10. I was quick to just, come on, let's see. So Sophie stood waiting to enter the wedding. She stood alone. I'm like, okay, where's her dad? Is she gonna have to walk down the aisle by herself? I'm spiraling at this point. But then her dad comes and joins her. I'm like, thank God. And can we, in the words of my good friend Joseph, when Sophie is walking down that aisle, wow. She looked stunning and effortlessly beautiful. I love when we see brides do this. I want to say effortless makeup, but time and effort truly has gone into it. But she still looked like her. Nothing too crazy. Subtle, simple, but just timelessly beautiful. She looked so stunning walking down that aisle. And one line that stood out to me in Taylor's vows, he said, before I even saw your face, I saw you. I was gone. I was a puddle of tears. That's so beautiful. I really love these two together. But yeah, Taylor, of course, says I do. And then it's Sophie's turn. And she's like, it's her turn to, answer. And then before she says anything, she whispers to him, like, love you. And I'm like, oh my God, no, please don't. I'm like, is she going to say no because her parents aren't supportive in this and her family are like, maybe wait. But she says I do. Oh my God, the relief when she says that is so beautiful. I'm, of course, elated for them. Comment below. Did you guys think they would both say I do? Were you as worried as me with the whole family thing, which just seemed to come out of nowhere, really? So next is Kira and AJ's wedding. Kira's conversation with her friend had me howling. Because why is he going to say London is going to be in mourning? Guys, please. He had been waiting for, this was his moment. This was his time to shine. And he delivered. He was waiting for this. AJ's moment with his dad before the wedding is also really sweet. And then we see Kira with her dad. And obviously he's seeing her before the wedding. She gets emotional. She's crying. And I'm like, this is the clip we saw from the preview. So they made it look like she was crying, and you would think, is she crying after because he said no? So when I saw that, I was like, okay, yeah, they're both saying yes. Even when she walks down the aisle, the minute her and AJ see each other, I'm like, yeah, I know these two. I didn't have doubts at this wedding, I'll be honest. And there's a line again in Kira's vows where she says, you stood by my side without question. Facts. He has backed her throughout this whole experience, right or wrong, and corrected her in private, which I think like that's how it should be. And when I saw that, that's why I thought them as a couple, I could see them actually getting married, even though I think I've been seeing online a lot of people like, I don't see this working, In my head, when I saw that, I was like, this is a true, what's the word, like union. Yeah. So yeah, they both say I do. Like I said, I'm not shocked. But comment below, guys, did you think they were actually going to get married? Because a lot of people didn't, I will say. And then her two friends saying, yeah, let's go get feral. So real. Because, let's be real, you're there at the ceremony. You want to see the love. You want to see the I do's. It's a beautiful moment. And after that, it's time to party. Okay, the moment we have been waiting for. So next is Joseph and Francesca's wedding. So we see Joseph sit down with his two really good friends and his brother. Fun fact, Ari, we went to primary school together actually. So I've known he's a really good friend, very wise man. And so me and Joseph, I think I've said, we met at sixth form. Joseph and Ari, they went to secondary school and then sixth form together. So when I joined the sixth form, I knew Ari, and he was obviously best friends with Joseph. So that's how I got to know him in the early stages anyways. But yeah, Ari, very wise man, has given me really good advice at crucial moments in my life where I felt a certain way, like, and we see him ask Joseph, we can tell like how happy you are and we haven't seen you like this, but are there any reservations or doubts that you have? And he says he needs Francesca's mum's blessing to be able to move forward and marry her. And they're all shocked that he hasn't got that yet. And then we cut to Francesca. She's with her mom, her sister and friends. And her mom's like, listen, I don't disapprove of Joseph at all. Like, I've seen how happy he's made you. I just feel like this is too soon. And Francesca's like, listen, are you going to give the blessing or not? Yeah, so cut back to Joseph and his moment with his brother. I'm going to hold it together for this video. But I was so glad it was shown on TV. One, just us getting to see men be vulnerable with each other, cry with each other, share and express their love. And I know how beautiful of a bond it is that they have as brothers. So to see that on TV was really nice. And he says, listen, you've touched so many people's lives. You've been there for so many milestones. And it's so true. Like, he will make sure to show up for everyone. So I loved that he got to have that moment with his friends. Them, like, we all, at the drop of a hat, we were like, we will be there. at your wedding, them speaking life into him right before the wedding, is what he deserves. And I think that's why I got emotional at the suit fitting as well. And to hear that he's found someone that can be there for him in that way too. Yeah, so it's I'm a puddle of tears when I was watching this and seeing him and his brother, and there's moments where not many words need to be said and they know exactly what it is or what they're speaking in reference to, and you can see the love and appreciation his brother has for him and the role he has played in his brother's life. I'm glad the world got to see that, even if just a small snippet. A very beautiful moment. And then we see another beautiful moment is Francesca with her dad, and she's thanking him for being such a great example. Her dad's so sweet, and you can see he's fighting back the tears. And then we see Joseph with his mom. We see Auntie on screen. That was really nice. And even seeing their relationship, they love to laugh together, and you can see that in that moment she just wants the best for her son, and he thanks her for all her sacrifices she's made for them. And it was a beautiful moment. You could see the genuine appreciation he has for her, and the love that she has for her son. So yeah, that was really nice. And then the weddings start and the guests arrive. If you don't blink, you would have seen me walking in. And then, so yeah, the wedding starts. Joseph walks in with his mum. He stood at the front, says a prayer, and then turns and goes to sit with Francesca's mum to ask for her blessing. But also the stress on Joseph's brother's face, on Daniel's face, when he's asking for the blessing and waiting to hear, and he is... It was funny, but also that would be me, like, flip it, if that was my brother up there or my sister. Like, as a sibling, you feel their, like, angst or their pain or their fear, just, like, that connection, that bond. I truly did get it. As much as I found it funny, I got it. And, of course, she gives her blessing. Joseph's happy. Joseph's mum's happy. Joseph's brother is ecstatic. And then we see Francesca walk in with her dad. She looks stunning. Like, I remember seeing her come in, and it was obviously they're filming, so there's lighting, but the light behind her, it was like an angel was walking. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. So yeah, so she's walking down the aisle. She gets to the front. They have a gospel choir singing Amazing Grace, and they're there and they're all giddy. And even when I was at the wedding, I remember looking at them at the front and being like, they're in their own little world when they were there with each other, sharing a few little jokes here and there. Obviously, it's cut down. It was really beautiful to see, and I'm like, that's how it should be with your person. Like, it's you guys in your world and then everybody else outside somewhat. But yeah, it was very cute on the day to see. They both say I do, which watching obviously wasn't a shock to me because I was there and I knew. But even when I was there, I didn't have doubts from what I had heard. Like, I've met her, seen them together. I just thought, yeah, they're both gonna say I do. Fun fact. So we traveled up. It was me, Joseph's other friend, Olu, who you see in the room, and another one of his friends, Aisha. So we all traveled up together. Were there the night before. Cool. They had never watched Love is Blind, so they didn't fully know what was going to happen. I was like, let's watch an episode from the last season. So I put on the weddings, and they watched the wedding, and I can't remember what couple it is. Was it Jed and Bada? I don't know. But they obviously say no on the wedding day. The way they sat up, so we're watching it, it's at the wedding, and they say, yeah, no, I can't do this. They say, hey, the way they sat up, they were like, so this can happen. They can say no. I'm like, guys, it's not going to happen. It's fine. It's going to be fine. The shock in their face when they realized how this all worked. It was so funny. But yeah, I had no doubt. And of course, everything went swimmingly. The reception was beautiful. The speeches at the reception, I cried off my lashes. Like, his brother's speech, what you saw in right before the wedding when they're getting ready, is just a small snippet of the beautiful words spoken. 10/10. And then finally we have Fay and Jack's wedding. I was nervous because they put them at the end, so I'm like, oh gosh, because we've had 3 I do's. Surely we're not gonna have all 4. And I'm like, have they put them at the end because this is where the drama is? Cut to Jack can't be found. And they're showing obviously Faye's already ready and they're looking for Jack. That could have been an edit thing, I don't know. But yeah, I'm like, oh gosh. But he finally arrives and he's just, saying how he's nervous. He's a bag of nerves and everything. But even though he was late, seeing how he speaks about her, again, I've seen a lot of chat online and in these comments about Jack, but I truly do believe he loves and cares for Faye and her too. And I think they do work well together. Like they bring out, if they keep working at it, they can bring out the best in each other. But comment below your thoughts. But yeah, I'm like, I see these 2 getting married. And Jack also gets a moment with his mum to thank her for the sacrifices she made as a single mum. Sweet moment, very sweet moment. And then we see Jack have a moment with Faye's dad, which I thought was really nice. And I can see later down the line him being somewhat of a male role model figure in his life, because from what he said, correct me if I'm wrong, comment below, but I feel like his dad isn't really in his life. So yeah. And then Faye walks down the aisle again, stunning, and Jack's face when she's walking down the aisle, so giddy. Sorry, also Joseph's reaction when he saw Francesca. Yes, this is how men should react when their bride is walking down the aisle. And they both say I do. I didn't have doubt in them either, but I am like, phew, because I was a bit worried that they put them at the end. But all 4 couples, guys, got married. Has that happened before in Love is Blind where everybody says I do? Anyway, that was the weddings. Comment below which couples were you shocked by any of the couples? Who are your favorite couples? Which wedding dresses did you prefer? Anything, like, let's get into it. So the reunion is dropping on the 30th, which is Sunday. I really thought it was going to be next Wednesday. So I will be here with a review of the reunion. Because fun fact, I was there at the reunion and I have some behind the scenes content because Netflix kindly invited me to the reunion. So I'll share that and again, give you a bit more insight. But yes, these weddings, I'm happy with this season of Love is Blind. Like I said, I think I said it earlier on in my reviews. These couples all seem like they genuinely wanted marriage. I'm trying not to. There is a lot of talk online that says otherwise and people feel otherwise. But those are my views. Again, open to hearing opposing views and just talking about it. You know I love to talk all things reality TV. But yes, thank you so much, guys, again, for watching these videos, engaging. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. Click the notification bell. Hey, hype the video if you really want to go all out. But yes, I will be back on Sunday for the reunion review. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other.